Welcome back to the cryptoworld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is continuing the rejection from this massive line of resistance again, while this massive bearish signal, a warning signal, is still flashing on this Bitcoin chart as more liquidations are happening right now for the price of Bitcoin, while Ethereum is continuing to repeat history in the bearish direction alongside Solana doing the same thing in the short term. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the 4-day Bitcoin chart, and right now the super trend indicator is still sitting in the red, indicating a larger bearish trend, and the same can be said about the 2-day time frame, because at least as of right now, we're still in this longer term bearish trend with yet another major rejection from this massive descending line of resistance, which was sitting closer towards around 67 to 68,000 give or take, and we made it very close to 67,000 as you can see. But obviously, as I explained here on the channel over the last week, give or take, even before this latest rejection, I've been saying how we need to first confirm a breakout above this line of resistance before we can actually start flipping more bullish again on the larger timeframes, expecting more of a bull run. And so until we actually see a breakout above this line of resistance, we're only really seeing shorter term bullish trends during a long-term bearish trend. And so this long-term bearish trend has not changed at all over the last months, as I've been saying here on the channel over the last many months. And so if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart right here, as of right now, we're seeing a continued spike to the upside in the short term in the DXY or US dollar index, which is a massive bearish signal for Bitcoin. And once again, I've already been talking about this over the last 2 days now on the channel. First of all, around 2 videos ago, I said we're starting to see a move back to the upside in the DXY. So that's a potential early warning signal to pay attention to. And then especially yesterday in my last video, I said we're officially seeing a much larger spike to the upside in the DXY, which is a very bearish signal. And since then, since yesterday, we've seen an even larger spike, a continuation in the bullish move in the DXY, which once again is very bearish for Bitcoin. Because as we can see time and time again, usually when the DXY is trending in the bullish direction, not always, but usually that often coincides with bearish price action for the price of Bitcoin, as we can see time and time again. So of course, this time has not been any different. We've seen a spike to the upside in the DXY at the same time as seeing a dump in the price of Bitcoin. And at least for now, if this continues, then we should be expecting more of a dump in the price of Bitcoin as a likely scenario in the coming days or weeks, especially if we see more of a bullish reversal here in the DXY. And so I would especially be paying attention to these highs in the DXY right here, because if we see a breakout in the DXY above these highs, that would potentially confirm a double bottom pattern, also known as a W pattern, which will be a bullish pattern. But remember, if the DXY is bullish, that's bearish for Bitcoin. And with that being said, taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, and as of right now, at the time of recording this video, the price of Bitcoin is currently running into this area of support, sitting in between around 60.2k to 61.2k approximately. So basically around 60 to 61,000 give or take. And over the last 1 day, we did actually see a small bounce from that area of support, but obviously we've seen a continued pullback since that small bounce, obviously due to this bearish signal and other bearish signals, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But as of right now, we're retesting this area of support. But if we actually see a break below around $60,000 with confirmation, so candle closes on the daily time frame below 60,000, then in the short term, of course, that'll be a very bearish signal. And in that case, we'll likely see a move at least down towards 59,500, but likely potentially all the way back down towards this major area of support, sitting in between around 56 to 57,000. But once again, between now and then, we do have some shorter term levels of support like 59,500 and around 58,000 acting as support. But the next significant area of support to the downside below 60,000 once again is in between 56 to 57,000. And so in other words, I would not be surprised if we see a move all the way back down towards 56 to 57,000 if we can first confirm a break below $60,000 with a candle close. And as for resistance, in case we were to see a bounce back to the upside, if we actually hold on to this area of support right here and see any sort of bounce, in that case, I would expect some resistance at around 61.9k, but above that, we should have some decent resistance closer towards 63,000 and major resistance at around 64 to 64,500. And of course, we have this significant resistance closer towards around 67 to 68,000. And if we're zooming into the shorter term, looking at the 6-hour time frame, obviously, as I've already been saying over the last half a week or so, we should not be expecting really any bullish price action in the short term due to the price and the RSI being overbought in the short term. And so we're due to see a cool off, but that shorter term cool off basically turned into a long squeeze, as I explained in my last video, liquidating long positions. And so at the point that we broke below 62,500, that was the point where we essentially reversed from a bullish trend into a bearish trend here in the short term, because obviously this is bearish price structure. Once again, as I explained in my last video, anytime where we're breaking below lows, basically creating lower lows or breaking below key support to flip it into new resistance, that is bearish price structure and a sign of a bearish trend, not just a pullback during a bullish trend. And so we have to understand that the current Bitcoin trend in the short term has essentially reversed from bullish to bearish. And usually these shorter term bullish and bearish trends last for give or take around 1 to 2 weeks, as we've seen over the last half a year or so. During the longer term bearish trend, we often see short term bullish trends that last for around 2 weeks or sometimes just 1 week. And then we often see a shorter term bearish trend that also lasts for around 1 to 2 weeks or so. And then we eventually see another short-term bullish trend. But ultimately, if we're still making lower lows and lower highs on these larger time frames, that's still a longer term bearish trend. And so that is the current situation right now for Bitcoin when it comes to the trends and the momentum on the longer term, the larger time frames, and the shorter term, the smaller time frames. And those are the levels of support and resistance that I'm currently watching. But of course, as I also mentioned in my last video here on the channel, we're now starting to see the 6-hour Bitcoin RSI enter into oversold territories. And so even though the short-term trend is clearly looking more bearish already, of course, the price does not move in a straight line. So just like how in this previous bullish trend right here, the shorter term bullish trend, we saw these overbought signals where we saw some slight pullbacks or sideways consolidations during the bullish trend. And so an oversold signal would essentially be the exact opposite as an overbought signal, where we can technically still remain within the bearish trend, but during this bearish trend right here, we may see a bit of a break or relief from the bearish trend before potentially the continuation of the bearish trend later on. And if you want to trade these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, personally, I take just about all of my trades over on Bybit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit down below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here, which is a massive trading competition happening right now. And I do have an official cryptoworld team in the World Series of Trading. That is the trading competition happening right now over on Bybit. And if you join my cryptoworld team using that link down below this video, you can get a free 50 USDT airdrop into your Bybit account if you join in the next 1.5 days as an early bird bonus into the competition. And also, this trading competition, the World Series of Trading, has a 10 million USDT prize pool this year. And not only that, Bybit will be giving away Rolex watches and even a luxury yacht in this competition. And by the way, this is a lucky draw, so you don't even have to be the best trader in the competition in order to win basically a free yacht. All you have to do is simply be in the competition, and if you're in my cryptoworld team, you will have a better chance of potentially winning some of this prize money right here if we trade really well, of course. But how it basically works is the more people that are in our team, the better our chances are at actually placing well in the competition to potentially win some of this prize money. So once again, if you want to check it out, first link down below this video to join the cryptoworld team. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there is Bitfinex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitfinex, which means if you're in the US or the UK, for example, or another country where you might not be able to access Bybit, you can actually access Bitfinex. So I'll also leave a link to Bitfinex down below this video. And if you use that link, you can get up to a 5.5k deposit bonus. And only if you use that link, you can get an exclusive 10% discount on all trading fees on the Bitfinex Bitfinex exchange forever, but that is only if you use the link below this video to make your Bitfinex account. And so as another option out there other than Bybit, once again, there's Bitfinex, links down below if you want to claim those extra bonuses or enter that trading competition with my cryptoworld team. And if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map right now, as of recording this video, we've just taken out some more liquidity to the downside, which was sitting at just above 60,000 or right around 60,000, give or take. But with that being said, we still have more liquidity to the downside that we need to pay attention to, basically in between $60,000 and going all the way down towards around 59,000. So just keep that in mind. There's still liquidity there that we could take out, basically continuing a bit of a long squeeze in the short term, liquidating more long positions. And as for liquidity to the upside, we don't really have a lot of liquidity immediately to the upside until we get all the way back up towards around 66,500. And obviously the shorter term trend is still looking more bearish. So it's unlikely that we'll get straight back up towards 66,500 at least anytime soon, while the current trend is looking more bearish. And with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum on the 3-day time frame, right now we're still within the longer term bearish trend, as I've been saying pretty much every day for many months now on the channel, but we're still holding above this massive area of support in between around 2150 to 2.2k. So that should still be acting as major support based on previous support, and of course the golden pocket, the Fibonacci area of support. But now that we've essentially broken back below this line of support that was sitting closer towards 2450 to 2.5k, there is a very high probability, there's a good chance that we'll likely see a retracement back down towards this golden pocket in between around 2150 to 2.2k. So expect those lower prices now that we've broken below around 2,500. And as for resistance, in case we see any sort of bounce back to the upside, we should be expecting resistance based on previous support now acting as new resistance in between around 2450 to 2.5k and significant resistance at around 2.8k. And if we're taking a look at the shorter term, looking at the 12-hour time frame, we are currently still playing out this bearish divergence also on the 12-hour time frame. Obviously, I've been talking about this bearish divergence on the 6-hour time frame over the last few days since the price was all the way back up here, but this is indeed also visible on the 12-hour time frame and is still currently playing out. And so obviously, as I've already been warning about every day over the last half a week since much higher prices, we should not be expecting any bullish price action here in the short term. And that is still the case as of right now. But of course, the last time we saw a bearish divergence on the 12-hour time frame, we did indeed see a bit of a short-term pullback. And then we actually saw a slight rebound, a small bounce back to the upside. But of course, not really a bullish trend reversal or anything like that, just a very small bounce, which was ultimately a dead cat bounce, and then we ended up seeing a major dump that followed over the next 1 week approximately. And so ultimately, if we're simply just looking at the momentum in the market right now and things looking more bearish in the short term, rejections from major resistance, things like that, things are simply looking more bearish right now in the short term, as I've already been saying over the last 1 to 2 days. But it's just important to be aware of the fact that we can see the occasional bounce back to the upside during a bearish trend. So it's not necessarily wise to open a 100x short position, for example, even though the trend is looking bearish at the moment. Because, for example, if you're in a 100x short position, all we need to see is a very slight bounce back to the upside, and that would liquidate your short. And so even though, of course, it would make sense to short bearish price action, just be careful with very high leverage, because with very high leverage, the tiniest bounce back to the upside could take out your trade. And as of right now, the 12-hour Ethereum RSI is getting very close to oversold territories. And the last couple of times this happened, we did actually see basically a local low and a bit of a short-term bounce, but not necessarily a bullish trend reversal. For example, this case right here, we did see a bullish relief over the next 1 or 2 weeks, but then we saw more of a bearish trend continue over the next few weeks. And so overall, the market is simply looking bearish right now when it comes to the trend and momentum, at least in the short term at the moment. And of course, the long-term trend has not changed at all over the last many months, as I've already been saying on the channel for a long time. And if we're taking a look at Solana on the daily time frame, right now the price is getting very close to potentially breaking back below this area of support, sitting in between around 138 to 143. And so if we break back below 138 with confirmation, so a candle close, for example, on the daily time frame back below 138, then in that case, that would highly increase the probability that we'd see a move all the way back down towards this area of support in between 120 to 128. So once again, if we break back below 138, which could possibly happen very soon, if that first happens, then expect a move down towards the low 120 price range as a likely scenario. And so if we first confirm that signal, which right now has not yet confirmed as of recording this video, but if we first confirm that signal, that could be a possible opportunity for a bit of a short trade right here to basically profit on the way to the downside. Because yes, in case you're new to all of this, even when the price is dumping, we can make a lot of money in crypto, a lot of profits in crypto while the market is dumping using things like short positions. And if we're zooming into the 8-hour time frame, obviously we still have this active bearish divergence, as I've been warning about every day since these much higher prices at around 157 to 159. I've been saying since then non-stop that we have an active bearish divergence in the short term. So we should be expecting not bullish price action. We should not be expecting any bullish price action. And instead, we should be expecting most likely bearish price action, or at least some neutral price action as the most likely outcomes, which is what we typically see from a bearish divergence. And the last time we actually saw and confirmed a bearish divergence on the 8-hour Solana chart was back here near the end of July, and obviously that resulted in a decent dump over the next 1 week, give or take. But obviously, we don't always play out that exact same outcome every time after a bearish divergence confirms. So just be aware of the fact that we could see something slightly different. But ultimately, history is currently repeating, at least as of right now here in the short term. So once again, the markets are looking bearish when it comes to the trend and momentum, at least in the short term. So expect more bearish price action with the occasional bounce or sideways consolidation along the way down. And once again, if you want to trade these moves in the price of any crypto, check out those links down below this video to get those extra free bonuses. And if you want to actually know how to trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, you can profit from all of this price action by watching these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions. And the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.